Austin Butler and Tom Hardy as bikers. Yeah, I got to see what that's about. And without further ado, we're going to get into the film that gives you exactly that. And that film is The Bikeriders. What's up, everybody, and welcome back to the channel today for another review. And today we're going to be reviewing the new film, The Bikeriders, coming to theaters June 21st. So once again, referencing CinemaCon, I saw the trailer for this and I said, that looks intriguing, because with the likes of Austin Butler as your lead alongside of Tom Hardy, and then you also have Jodie Comer, I was like, okay, this could be something. And, you know, this film, it was okay. First of all, let's just talk about the performances, as I already talked about the cast. Tom Hardy as Johnny, who is this biker club, the Vandals, based out of Chicago. They're considered an outlaw motorcycle club. He completely transforms. And, you know, he puts on the accent. He has a little swag to him. But he's not somebody to mess with. And under him, and under his tutelage, shall I say, we have Benny, played by Austin Butler. I'm just going to keep it 100 here. This guy is smooth, he's creepy, he's handsome. So he pretty much gets a pass on all of the creepiness that he does in the film. But nonetheless, Austin is spectacular. He really is. He's my second favorite character because with some bias, Norman Reedus, because of there's motorcycles, of course he's in the film. He plays this character Funny Sonny, who comes in, you know, towards the middle half of the film, but I mean any scene that he's in, he steals the scene, you know. And you also got some other folks as well. Bo Knapp is in it. Emery Cohen. So like, yeah, you got a good solid cast here. But really quickly to talk about what this film is about. It is inspired by a 1967 photo book by the same name by Danny Lyne. Danny Lyne is an American photographer and filmmaker. So, you know, his character is portrayed in this film. And basically it is depicting the lives of the outlaws MCs, but which in this case is, you know, using by a different name, the Vandals Motorcycle Club. So he's just really doing a lot of just interviewing and photography to really understand the lives of this motorcycle clubs, because they get into a lot of stuff. You know, they're not peaceful at all. I mean, just they break crimes. There's some murders involved. There's a whole bunch of things that you would expect, and ultimately, based out of Chicago, they expand pretty much nationwide. So understanding how big this and how revered this motorcycle club gets, it obviously is going to bring the attention to somebody. And yes, that's essentially why we have this photographer slash filmmaker wanting to follow them along, because he wants to know, you know, what all is going on with them. But within the subset of all of that, you do have Austin Butler's character, Benny. You know, everybody knows he's the next man up, but that's not his thing. He's in love with Kathy, who is Jodie's character. Jodie is the main subject of the interviews that is being conducted by Danny. And, you know, Danny has a lot of interest in terms of Austin, because Austin has a very distinct personality. Like, he loves Kathy unlike no other. But like, he's a little bit of an introvert with an extrovert attitude, you know. But nonetheless, you know, that's the focus, is wanting to kind of know more about Benny, you know, Benny's relationship with Johnny. Kathy knows the in and out of this club. She's seen it when it was just a few members. She's seen when it basically expanded to different regions. So she is absolutely the right person to interview if you really want to know what was going on with the Vandals. But yeah, as always, anytime anything gets big and there's chaos involved, I mean, what would you expect? The train goes off the rails, and so a lot of chaos. Even with Benny, Johnny being the leader, you know, that's even that question at times, because it brings the attention to some young folks with no discipline, and they are looking to challenge for that top spot. You know, if they're not if they're not instantly accepted, all that sorts of different stuff. So yeah, it does explore, how the club gets started, how it grows and expands to different cities. And like throughout the film, like there's some brutal moments, and like with the brutality and everything, it does have a love story intertwined in there. And again, that's focusing on Kathy and Benny. You can also say Johnny and Benny, because I think Benny really respected Johnny. Johnny really respected Benny. He looked at him almost like his son, his brother, something of that sort of relationship, to the point that like they happens to be each other's soft spot. And like that's going to be explored in this film without a doubt. But along with that, like I said, you're going to go on some good old nice motorcycle rides. So you're going to hear the engine roars. You're going to see that aesthetic from the 1960s, because the ultimately this photo book was completed in 1967. So like you're going back sort of into the beginning of when everything started to get going in terms of the author building this book. So yeah, you're going back to the 1960s. So you're getting that aesthetic with the motorcycles, the clothing, and everything about that time with Chicago. And it's cool. It's really, really cool. But listen, I think Austin's performance as Benny is because, as I said, he's creepy, but he's smooth, he's handsome, but this guy is nothing to be played with. I mean, he's a little bit of a hothead. He's at any given time, he may be willing to take some punishment or dish it. You just don't know, That guy is a little unchained. And as much as he loves Kathy, if there's one thing that matters most to him, and that's riding. And you're going to see him prioritize riding, being in the club over her, which is going to cause some conflict between them. But ultimately, it will bring the attention of everybody around him, because realizing that this man is willing to give up everything in order to ride. So you are going to see conflicts between Benny and Kathy in terms of her wanting him to quit riding, quit the club, and them going off to live their own life, and him going to have to make a hard decision in terms of what he's going to want to do. So I would say this, like, the character, as much as he's an introvert with an extrovert attitude, I mean, up and down the board, if you really analyze this character, it's done very well. And obviously it's based on a real person, but like in terms of the film purposes, like they really fleshed this character out very well and very consistent. And Austin does a really good job in staying in that playground in terms of how far you would see this character go, but within certain limitations, and you want to stay through the credits, because that's when you're going to start to see that stock footage, that actual footage of these folks and from everything that this photo book was taken. So it's good to see the correlation between the actors and the real people that they portray. And even that, I thought they did a really good job in castings. These people look spot on, and whether if it ain't, exactly how a person may look, they definitely nailed the attire to the T. But I will say the one thing I did struggle with this film is because it does jump around different timelines. So the flashbacks to it being current, it was hard to keep up with. And because this is being narrated through Kathy, which Jodie does a good job in terms of adding that voiceover component to the film, Kathy didn't change much in the 7 years that this explores. So you don't really know if it's current or if it's past tense, but they jump around in a way. For me, I found it to be just a little difficult to keep track with. And then going back to Tom Hardy, I mean, listen, Johnny, he's a conflicted man trying to run a club, but ultimately getting nation attention, but also just trying to do the right thing. And again, I think with everything that they built with this character, I think that Tom does a really good job in keeping your interest the entire time, and you just ultimately just want to see just to what limits will this guy go in order to lead this club, even if it involves his life being on the line. They hit all of that, So ultimately, the Bikeriders, listen, I think that if this instantly calls to you, you want to check it out. I think it's good acting. I think it's an okay film. At times it felt kind of dull, and it's kind of like nothing was kind of happening. And at times they cranked up the brutality, and at times that this was kind of like, whatever. I mean, and in fact, it almost feels like a biopic, but not. You know what I mean? But nonetheless, you know, again, if it instantly calls to you, I think without a doubt you should check it out. I did not love this film, didn't hate it, just kind of right there in the middle, but definitely for what it's worth. There's some good parts to this in terms of cinema that they execute to a T that you're going to enjoy. And plus, like, listen, if you like hearing motorcycles roar, you like seeing a good old classic motorcycle, Harley, or whatever your cup of tea may be, it's all there for you. And if you love Tom, you love Austin, you love Jodie, they do a fantastic job in leading this film. And for me, Norman Reedus, no brainer. But yeah, check it out. The Bikeriders, again, it will be in theaters June 21st. Once you do, folks, let me know your thoughts in the comments. And as always, stay tuned for more reviews very soon.